Do you actually understand what it means to be risk on in trading? Do you actually understand what it means to accept risk in a trade? Just because you set a stop loss doesn't necessarily mean that you've accepted risk in a trade. Now, what do I mean by this? Let's say you're in a trade. You have your stop loss set and you have your take profit set. The trade doesn't end up going in your direction. It's going closer and closer to your stop loss. What you do in that situation determines whether you've accepted risk or not. If you move your stop loss higher, if you move your stop loss lower, depending if you're in a long position or a short position, if you move your stop loss a little bit more, where you're risking a little bit more, you're not actually accepting the risk that you've initially put on. And what you do after your trade ends up losing also determines whether you've truly accepted risk in that last trade or not. Do you overtrade? Do you immediately go into another position after losing X amount of money? Do you take a bad setup? Do you wait a little bit and then see, okay, maybe this setup looks a little bit good. I kind of see where this is going to go. Let me try this out. Let me try this trade out. But you know deep down that this trade doesn't follow your system. You don't actually have a tested edge against it. You don't actually know the probabilities of that trade. But still you enter because you haven't truly accepted the risk from that last trade and you truly are not comfortable with losing that amount of money. So you're trying anything possible to make that money back. Or you're the type of person that logs off after taking that losing trade and goes to the next day and sees if there is an opportunity to place a trade that follows their system, that they have a proven edge on, that they know that this system, this trade that they're about to take, follows their system. And there is a probability of that trade winning more than losing. If you're that type of person that can wait for that next good setup, you can just click off this video. There's no need for you to watch this video. But if you're the other two type of people that I described earlier, this all stems from you not having an actual true understanding of the value of money. You don't actually value money. Now, what do I mean by this? Here's an example. You're spending $20 on a bowl from Chipotle, on a meal from Chipotle, and you spend $50 on an evaluation account. For me, at least, when I spend $20 on a Chipotle bowl, I actually had that registered in my mind. I actually think, damn, this bowl was $20? That seems kind of expensive. But if I spend $50 on an eval or $150 on an eval, and then I pay that activation fee, so I'm spending $300 in all, or I'm spending $200 in all, I don't actually register that in my mind. I don't register it. Why don't I register it? Well, because I'm viewing it as an investment, because there's actual value in that product. I know that I'm able to get a return on investment. I'm able to make more money than I put in. But with the bowl from Chipotle, that's not necessarily the case, right? You can't, once you spend that $20, you're not going to be able to make more than $20, right? It's a loss of $20. But what do you get out of, in return by spending that $20? Well, you're able to eat food, right? You're able to satisfy your hunger, right? You still get value out of it, but you don't get anything more out of it. compared to buying an eval. Now, the problem is you buy that eval, but you don't actually treat it as an investment. You don't view it as an investment. What do I mean by this? You don't actually treat an eval as a funnel to make money. Because if you truly did, you would cherish it, right? You would actually do what's necessary to make money. You would follow your system. You wouldn't be emotional. You wouldn't be focused on the money, because you know that being right is what is going to lead you to make money. Money is just a byproduct of you being right. So instead of focusing on the money, why don't you focus on being right? If you truly viewed prop firm accounts as investments, you would be doing what I just said. You would be taking trades because you know that it's going to be right most of the time, because you have a proven edge. You've back-tested your system, right? Over years of data. You've collected data. You forward-tested it. And you know that if you just wait for the setup, you will be right most of the time and you will make money. Now, going back to that Chipotle comparison, right? Let's say you want that same Chipotle bowl, but this time you're really hungry, right? You're really, really hungry and you just need food in your stomach. And you decide to go to Chipotle because it has the best value for the amount of money that you're spending. When you buy that bowl, or when you buy that burrito, when you buy that meal from Chipotle, all you can think about is just eating the food as fast as possible to fill your stomach. You're more focused on satisfying your hunger rather than actually savoring the taste. Now compare this to trading. Your focus is, let's say like you're broke, right? Your focus is to make as much as money as fast as possible to satisfy your hunger. And in that time, in both worlds, right, in both situations, where you're eating Chipotle and where you're trading, you're not enjoying the process, right? You're not enjoying the taste of the Chipotle bowl or the Chipotle meal. And you're not enjoying the process of you trading, of you going through the struggles, of you learning, of you improving. And you're just going through the motions. You're just going through the motions of you trying to make money as fast as possible. And there's consequences for both things. You trying to eat your food as fast as possible, that will lead to consequences. Now, what type of consequences am I talking about? Well, you might end up getting stomach aches, right? Your stomach might cramp and you won't feel good. Now, the same thing with trading. On the other hand, you blow through so many evaluations, right? You don't actually take it seriously. You don't actually enjoy the process. You don't savor it. You don't savor the taste. You don't savor the process. And you're not enjoying it, right? You're not enjoying the process. You're not enjoying blowing so much money on these evals. And that's the problem. If you enjoy the taste, if you enjoy the process, at the end of the day, you're still getting to the same result. You're still going to make money and you're still going to be full, right? If you take your time eating the food, you're still going to be full. Nothing changes. So why are you rushing the process? Why are you so focused on satisfying your hunger as fast as possible when you clearly know that it will come if you just follow the system that you've back-tested, followed just followed the thing that you know is going to make you money over a long period of time? Why is it so hard to do that? It's because you're so focused on the short-term dopamine. And this was me. This was me as well. I was so focused on the short-term dopamine that I get when I'm winning a trade. I've always wanted to chase that win. I couldn't handle losses. I would be up on the week, and this could be the same for you guys as well. You would be up on the week, 5K on the week, right? Monday through Thursday. I've won every trade from Monday through Thursday. And then here comes Friday. I'm down $700 on the day, and I can't handle it. I can't handle being down $700 on a Friday, even though I'm up 4.3K on the week, and I don't realize it at that time. So on that Friday, that entire 5K that I was up on the week, it ends up being blown. The account ends up being blown. And then I have to go through that process again, and I'm in that constant cycle of regret where I realize that, damn, I was up this much on the week. Why couldn't I just log off and just handle that losing day? This comes from a lack of discipline in everything else in your life, not just trading. What you do outside of trading shapes the person that you will be in trading. And you've heard this so many times. I bet you've heard this so many times from so many other people. And there's a reason why we're all saying the same thing, because it's true. If you're not a disciplined person outside of trading, how do you expect yourself to be disciplined in trading? How do you expect yourself to handle losses? You don't have that long-term vision. You don't have that long-term vision. You don't realize that in 30 days, in 2 months, 3 months, a year, if you follow your system consistently, money is not even a factor. You don't care about the money aspect because you know it's just a byproduct of you being right more than you being wrong. So would you rather be right or would you rather lose? It comes down to those two things. Would you rather be right or would you rather lose? You would want to be right. So then why aren't you doing the things that's supposed to make you right most of the time? Why would you purposely put yourself in a situation where you're placing trades where you have no proven edge with it? You don't know the probabilities behind it. And you're just gambling. You're taking on that slim chance of you possibly being right, which will reinforce you to do the same bullshit that you've been doing, where you're gambling on the chance that you could possibly there's a tiny little chance that you're going to be right. So you keep playing that card and you neglect the losses that you take because you keep falling into the habit of you just keep spamming trades after taking a loss. Losses are a part of a winning system. And another important thing that I wanted to address is the effect of social media. Social media can be the worst thing for a person that's starting out or a person that's trying to become profitable. The best thing that I ever did when I first started trading, I didn't have TikTok. I didn't have Instagram. I didn't have any social media platform, I guess, beside YouTube, where I was actually learning how to trade. I didn't have TikTok or Instagram where I was just able to mindlessly scroll and see all of these people make, ridiculous amounts of money and then compare myself. And that plays an effect on your trading because you think to yourself, well, how am I not like this person? How am I not like that person? But you don't realize that they were probably at the position where you are at right now. And they went through the process, right? The right process where they were able to then get on in a situation where they're confident enough to post on social media and reap the rewards, right? They're able to show all these big P&Ls, all the wins that they're taking. And that's just a byproduct of them being right and a byproduct of them actually following their system. So why can't you do what everybody else is doing on social media and actually lock in and follow your system? If they're doing it, why can't you? Right? You ask yourself, if they're making money, why can't you make money? Right? What's stopping you from making money? Well, what's stopping you is that you're not doing what it takes to become a profitable trader. It all comes down to that, and it's really simple. And you don't need all of these psychology videos to help you understand this. Yes, they can be helpful. Yes, these videos can be helpful. But it all comes down to you. It's you that will make the change. Me telling you to make that change won't do anything because you actually have to take action. You have to realize this. I only started making content after I saw real results in my trading. I wouldn't have made content after getting my first payout, right? I wouldn't have started making content after, passing an evaluation account. So why don't you just focus on the process instead of trying to focus on making as much money as possible in a short period of time? Why don't you try chasing that long-term dopamine instead of focusing on the short-term dopamine that you get? Some of you guys can be up $900 on the day, and you're trying to chase that 4-figure day goal, which is just $100 more than what you've already made on the day. And then you end up being down on the day. You end up being up $900 on the day to being down $500 on the day. And then you see that you're down $500 a day, you try to make it back, and then you blow your account. You're so emotionally attached to the money aspect where you cannot let go of one losing trade. You just can't let that go. It's insane because that's how I was as well. I was so focused on the short-term dopamine. And this doesn't happen, that shift doesn't happen overnight where you're more focused on that long-term dopamine. It's a cultivation of good habits that stack up over time. You won't see a change overnight. The click that people talk about on social media, where everything just ends up clicking one day, that's not entirely true. It doesn't just end up clicking in one day. All the cultivation of all the good habits that you've slowly built up over time, that's what leads to that click. That everybody is talking about, that what you're seeing on social media. So why don't you make that change? What's stopping you from making that change?